Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Blue Fairy limited edition doll from the Disney store to celebrate Pinocchio's 85th anniversary. So let's go. And before we start, I'm Chaymie and I like to make toy videos here on my channel. So make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell if you would like to stay tuned for more toy video content. So here she is. So she was quite the popular girl, like a lot of hullabaloo went around her, especially with the US release, but luckily I got mine from our Asian release on Shop Disney Asia. So her packaging features a metallic wood texture purple tinted all over print with a ornate gold border all around the borders. I also really love the metallic foil gold stars printed on the actual plastic window. It looks really magical. I also really love that her nameplate is actually affixed to that wooden plaque with screws, so it makes it look like Geppetto made a figure of her in his workshop. And just like the 75th Cinderella, their anniversary emblems are now part of the box instead of a sticker. On the back, we get another nice description about the doll and her character. And Jiminy Cricket and Pinocchio on there is also a nice touch to have. Alright, now it's time to take her out. And here is my certificate of authenticity, and mine is 2,951 out of 3,000, so like always with the Disney Store Asia dolls, they tend to be on the higher end of the numbers. She is beautiful. Like ever since I've become a full-time deboxer, I really don't have the debate and the dilemma anymore to debox or not debox. It's been a while since I last felt that, but I'm feeling with her right now. She looks so beautiful the way she's displayed in the box, and even the stars on the background of the box is just making everything work. It was a hard decision, but we're still taking her out. So when I think of the Blue Fairy, other than Pinocchio, another reference that strongly comes up in my head is from the movie Artificial Intelligence. In the story, it was a plot point that he was looking for the Blue Fairy. He does find the Blue Fairy, and that image of that Blue Fairy in the movie has always been stuck in my head. Like when you say Blue Fairy, I think that Blue Fairy would pop up first and then the Disney version would pop up because it just had a poignant memory in my head tied with the emotions of the story and whatnot. But it's a really powerful scene, and when I got this doll, I even rewatched Artificial Intelligence along with Pinocchio, and as usual, I cried at both. And she's out of the box, so before I get into the details, let's just take a quick 360 look at Blue Fairy. She looks really majestic, like really. It's been a while since I felt this like to see a doll in person, but she's really given me that. The wings are beautiful, they're so iridescent, the way they catch light, and I cannot wait to get into the details as soon as we're done with this 360 overview. Okay, first up, I wanted to get the wings out of the way. So the way the wings are attached are very simple. They're actually sewn onto the back of her dress with these little threads, as you can see here. And the wings are actually quite heavy because they're a solid plastic piece. So she does get like a bigger chunk of Velcro compared to the other doll, so it would have a stronger grip. On the back, because the wing is actually only attached on one side of the dress, so that side is bearing all the weight. So sometimes, as you can see here, it can be a little lopsided if the weight is unbalanced. And for the design of the wings themselves, they're really beautiful. It's a translucent, solid plastic piece, but it's very glossy. It has that iridescent sheen painted on it, so it catches the light beautifully and has like an array of color that it emits. And when it's not catching light, it has a slight purplish hue and tint to it, which I really love. And overall shape, I'm a sucker for fairies that have butterfly-shaped wings. I think it all started from Barbie Mariposa, but I just love that she also has that butterfly-esque shape to her wings. Absolutely, absolutely love the wings. I just wish the wings had been removable, so that makes undressing and dressing her much easier. Alright, now onto the Blue Fairy herself. So first up, her face sculpt. So she features a brand new face sculpt, sculpted just for her. In the past, they've used Cinderella sculpt for the D23 doll, but I'm really glad that they introduced a new sculpt for her. It's a really pretty sculpt. It still does remind me of Cinderella, because even the animated version did. But she has such a kind face. I love the profile, I love the features, they're very soft. And I also love that the eyes are not very big like the modern princesses, so it matches the animation much closer to. The makeup is also very soft. I love the subtle highlights on her cheeks and the silver eyeshadow. And I love that the lip color, although not very vibrant, still has like a pop of color on her face. And she does have that shiny metallic sheen and glimmer that Disney liked to do in the past. They stopped, but I think they still do it for like magical creatures or fairies or underwater characters and whatnot. I'm not the biggest fan of that feature, but for her, I think it does work. I think it adds to her character and her lore, so I'm okay for her. In terms of her overall face paint and expression, she does have both of her eyebrows raised so that it gives off that kind motherly vibe when she's talking to Pinocchio. And even her eyes are very interesting because they are painted upwards. As you can see that she has like more whites of her eyes showing on the bottom. So she has her eyes raised up. So I think the best way to pose her is when you actually tilt her head down. In that sense, it looks like she's looking down but up at Pinocchio or us, the viewer. So in that sense, it works. But I do find that when she's looking straight on, she looks a little goofy. On her head, she actually has a really intricately detailed and very pretty headband. I thought it was going to be metal, but I'm pretty sure that it's plastic when I touched it and felt it. But the thing is, I'm so amazed at how plastic looked that good because plastic accessories tend to be very chunky, but this one has like very defined sculpted lines and the little swirls that are very intricate, and it makes it look like it's metal, so it's doing its job very well. And it has all these little blue gems sprinkled on it, and I think it's one of my favorite things on her. I wish it's something that the recent Cinderella got as well. So for her hair, it's just a simple kind of gelled, curly, wavy look that the Disney Store always likes to do. But the way it's styled is that the bangs are pulled and they are just tied on the side, so we get that bangs always fixed in there. And then the rest of the hair, yeah, it's a little thin on some spots, but I do think after like a simple wash, if you mix the hair up around, we can probably cover those up. So she has this, again, really beautiful translucent plastic wand here. Again, another great execution because plastic accessories tend to be murky or cloudy when they're supposed to be translucent on these mass-produced dolls, but this doll perfectly retains that translucency. It's very magical, and it's not a straight up smooth wand as well. It has like swirls sculpted into it, so it catches more light actually because it also has the iridescent paint that the wings have. So because of all those bumps and surfaces on the wand itself, it catches more light and it's giving more magic. Alright, moving on to her outfit. So first for her top, she has this sweetheart neckline dress with 2 straps going to the back, and she also has this sheer layer on a little under layer as well that's actually just stitched under the main part of the dress that goes along all the way to the sleeves. But I really do love the fabric that they used for the main part of the dress because you got all these lines going across that it's making it look very magical. Also reminds me of Cynthia Erivo's version of the dress in the live action movie, which also had those kind of shimmering magic lines going through, so maybe there's some inspiration pulled from there, but I really love that. And then she also has her rope belt accessories here that it's crisscrossed on the front, but they're actually just stitched to create that illusion. It does not go all the way around. For her sleeves, the upper arm parts are attached to that little undershirt, and then the rest of the sleeve that actually falls down is attached around the elbows. They are pretty stiff. I thought it was going to be a material that has like flowiness and weight to it, but no, they're very light and very stiff. But I do love that it has these little bows and curly ribbons attached on the elbows where the sleeves and the bell sleeves meet. And I think they're technically not sleeves per se because they're not stitched all the way through, so you can see that she can poke through her hand out. So I think they're more of like, I don't know, cape. And it's just decorated with these simple little gems running throughout. I forgot to also mention this little oval shaped gem that's attached on the belt. I think in the movie it was a heart, so I wish it had been a heart too. Okay, what's also hard to see on the back because it's covered mostly by the wings is another part of her sleeves or cape. I think it has a little swooped, little drape thing going on, which is also really pretty actually. Moving on to her dress, so I'll just continue with the belt. So the rope actually comes all the way down to her knees and it has two little beads and tassels attached at the end, along with more curly ribbons. I don't know, I actually really love curly ribbons for some reason. So all the embroideries on her are just on the skirt, and I love the little swirly patterns and also the star right there, so it kind of pays homage to the star that she comes down from in the movie. I love it when designs factor into, you know, their lore and their story beats from the movie. So like props to the designers for always having that passion into the work that they do. The embroideries unfortunately does not go all the way around on the back. And just while we're here, this fabric is also a very stiff kind of fabric. So one thing I wanted out of this doll was flowiness in terms of fabric, but we didn't get that, although it looks very pretty. Okay, finally, under all of that, we have this sheer light blue layer that's completing the dress, as you can see here. So it makes most of the mermaid shape, and it's actually pretty long. It's longer than the actual main part of the dress, as you can see here. So it does create like a really magical effect when you have her on flat ground, because that one kind of pulls out around the doll. But the fabric itself is also another stiff type of fabric, and this one feels a little playline. I think I may have felt this fabric or like a similar fabric maybe on singing dolls or classic dolls in the past. Okay, finally we go on to her shoes. So I was very interested to find out what her shoes were gonna be because they didn't have a stock photo of her, but they're just these little flats. And then she has the tippy toe feet, so it's like she's just tippy toeing in her flats. I don't know, maybe I actually don't like it when like they give flat type of shoes to tippy toe feet, but for her, I guess since she's gonna be flying about, so it makes sense that she would have that feet, you know. Shoes do have like a shimmery paint on them as well, so not all is lost. In terms of articulation, she has the usual head, shoulders, elbows, wrists. She also has the waist joint, which is always a win for photography, and then the rest is just the hips and the knees. She also has a new type of saddle stand because her mermaid skirt is really tight, so the usual stands with a large U shape couldn't fit under that, so they have a much shorter variant. I remember in the past, before they did this stand, they would always give waiststands to dolls in mermaid dresses. Because it's a waiststand, it's out in the back, so it prevented the train of the dress from actually flaring out, and I complained back then. So it's great that, you know, our complaints are listened and Disney tries to improve. And lastly, I also noticed she's very heavy. I think mostly because of her wings, because they're like a giant piece of plastic, solid plastic piece, so it makes the overall doll very heavy. Okay, so for my final thoughts on this doll, I think she's absolutely magical. She looks majestic when she's standing there with her wings and her arms out with her wand and her little sleeves falling down. So she is like a very beautiful doll. And I don't have much builds on this doll because I love mostly with everything that she comes with. The only major note I would give is what I wanted from her is flowiness. So because she's like very ethereal, light, magical, right? So I wanted like free-flowing fabrics, super soft fabrics, and not this very stiff mermaid gown. Although it's very nicely executed and looks really beautiful in the way it's been designed, but I think I would have preferred a more free-flowing dress, almost like Galadriel from the Lord of the Rings vibe in her dress. That would have just been super magical. Okay, so that is my review on the new Blue Fairy limited edition doll from the Disney stores. So what did you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you get her? If you did, how are you loving her? And if you passed, like what was your reason on passing this doll? For me, I think it was a great opportunity to have a Blue Fairy doll in my collection because the only other doll of her from the Disney store is a D23 one. And that doll goes for like $1,000. So, you know, this was like a perfect opportunity to have a Blue Fairy representation in my collection. But the D23, coming to think of it, I wish this doll would have also come with like a mini Pinocchio figure. That would have been also very perfect because that one came with that and it's so cute. But anyways, you can also check me out on Instagram at Chaymie Crates for my toy photography. I love taking photos of my toys and my dolls and recreating moments inspired by their movies, so I hope you check me out over there. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and a comment. It'll really help out my channel. But once again, thank you so much for watching until the very end, and I'll see you all soon in my next video. Bye!